So I'm Freddie Gibson. I moved here from Southeast Arkansas about 2 years ago. I went to the school called the University of Arkansas at Monticello, just a really small school where I have two bachelor's degrees, one in computer information systems and one in geospatial information systems. And so at EAS, I'm a tutor slash mentor. I tutor mainly in math and technologies, pretty much anything to do with computers. And then I also mentor with, determining what you may want to major in, what your interests are, and the process of getting to college. I got experience tutoring from a long time ago. So while I was in college, we have a couple of on-campus tutoring places where I got offered by one of the people I knew from the faculty to pretty much assist with tutoring in math. So I started out tutoring college algebra because they noticed at our school that a lot of people were struggling with college algebra. And I had this knack of just explaining things in ways that normal people can understand, pretty much layman terms of math, and explaining the rules and things behind math just to make the topic simpler. And so from that, I had 3 jobs on campuses tutoring different societies and organizations. With mentorship, I was a resident assistant slash resident director in college. So as a resident assistant or resident director, pretty much our job is to oversee the students who stay in our dorm. So in my dorm we had about 300 people, and what I would have to do is pretty much get to know all the people in my dorm, kind of check in on them, make sure everything's going right. And so through that, we dealt from everything from pretty much people having problems, struggles in class, people having problems with their parents, suicide issues, pretty much everything you can think of. So I learned how to communicate with people in a way that wouldn't push them away, but actually, make certain topics a little easier for them to understand and help them to get through their hard times. I got started at EAS when I met Miss Runlin. She also works where I work at, and we met each other as interns. And so through the internship process, she became pretty much like a godmom to me, and she started telling me what to do. So it's kind of one of those, Miss Runlin would say, well, I want you to help this person, and I would just hop on board and help someone out. And so in the beginning, before EAS, Ms. Runlin noticed that I didn't mind tutoring people in math and that I really had a passion for helping people with math. So she would mention a few names and say, hey, I have a person that struggling a little bit in their classes. Could you go in and check up on them and see if you can get them up to speed? And so what I would do is meet people at the library or meet them around my office or meet them around town and help them get through that class for that semester. And then it moved on to I was helping so many people. It's more of, well, I'm not going to have enough time to actually go around to each one of these people's either house or meet up at the library. I'll need one central location where I can get everyone to meet me. And so that's how I moved more into the working at the EAS office versus just helping people on the side when I had time. I like working here because I just like seeing that light bulb go off with people when they understand that certain things they didn't think they can do are really a lot easier than they think it may be. So for example, with math, I know quite a few people that think math is the hardest subject in the world, and I explain it to them that it's just a bunch of rules, and if you know the rules, it's really pretty simple. And so I try my best to talk to someone, see what they're afraid of, and then I'll say, okay, let me explain this to you in a different approach. And I give them kind of that personalized, here's what this rule really means, and then I watch this light bulb just go off in their head when they say, oh, this really isn't that bad. My perspective is pretty much having gone through that process. I know it's a rather involved process. I grew up in a home where my mom went to college, my dad didn't, but I knew at the same time my mom could afford for me to go to school. But because I was kind of in that independent phase where I really didn't want her to pay for anything, I wanted to pay for it myself. So I did the research that was necessary on my end to kind of get to the point where I knew that in order for me to afford to go to college, I was going to at least need an academic scholarship. So I did research on academic scholarships, and then through band and other organizations I was in, I was able to get a full ride at my school with a band scholarship and a couple of academic scholarships. And from the jobs I worked in high school, I figured out a bunch of private scholarships that I also got prior to going to school. And once I got into college, I think that freshman and sophomore years when I started talking more with the admissions department and through my jobs on campus tutoring, I finally got the entire picture of the entire college application process, scheduling your classes, determining your major, finding funding so that you don't have to work late at night. How nice it is if you can find someone that has already gone through that process. The thing I liked about EAS is it pretty much streamlines the college application process. So it gets rid of all the doubts you have as far as, what should I be doing? How do I kind of stack up to everybody else? What is everybody else doing at this point in time? So at EAS, Miss Runlin has pretty much put on paper everything that I've found that you need to do, and streamlining that process of this is what you need to do in order to get to the place you need to be in order to go to the school you want to go to. You want to start preparing for college as early as you can. It's not exactly an intensive process, but it can be a long process. If you have to do it all at the last minute, it's kind of like if you have a test where you need to know 100 vocabulary words. Studying, if you have, say, a month to prepare for the test, doing 5 words a day, versus the night before trying to learn all 100 words. It's kind of that same approach. So even between the time that I went to college and the time that you'll probably go into college, prices are probably going to triple. And what you'll want to do is find something like EAS or someone else who's gone through this process that can kind of help you or guide you through that entire workflow of what exactly you need to do in order to get into the college you want to go to.